Hello. I want to show a quick little preview of the UI for shadow-cljs and maybe talk about a few things, talk about why I think it's useful and what it could provide over the normal command line interface. So the first idea is to have something you can launch directly by clicking an icon. Um, right now this is fake. I have the server already running in the background, and this is basically, or this is just a web page, but I can fake it to look like a standalone application with Chrome. So you have this window, and right now I haven't done a lot of UI design. It's ugly, but it gets the job done for now. And you basically can either jump directly into the REPL, although this is not hooked up yet, but you would get a nice editor with par and for support and um, all kinds of nice things that could be hooked up, like auto completion and whatever. That's not done at the terminal, so you have more options here. You're not limited to just text. And what is actually working right now is the build management. So you have a list of builds that are configured in the project. Right now, this is in the shadow-cljs project itself, which has a ton of test builds. So you wouldn't normally have this many, maybe like 3 or 4, but not this many. But the idea is to have a list of builds, and you can start and stop them quickly and easily. So right now I have a browser build and a script build, which is basically a browser front end and a Node.js backend. And I can start them and click them just by clicking checkbox, and I can look at the build directly here. Right now this doesn't display much information, but I can start the build process. I can open the browser for the build, and I can stop it. I can run a development compile. I can release compile, and the basic tasks are hooked up. This should get more information, and you should see the configuration at some point, and maybe edit the configuration directly here. But right now it's just the basics. So suppose I'm working on 2 builds. I have these running here, and I can work in my editor. I can start editing the code, and it would be live compiled, and the feedback would be here. And it didn't touch the script build because the file I edited is not relevant to the script build, so it only compiled the browser and shows the warning here. This could be clickable. Right now it's not, but so that it opens in the browser, and it highlights the error I just added. So the basic build commands are all hooked up to the UI, but you don't have to use the UI. Usually I would use the REPL, but the problem with the REPL is that the compile output can overload the REPL, or it's just text. It's scrolling by, it disappears, and if you have multiple builds running and touch many files, the log output is just too much. And but the UI is optional, so you could run a build in the REPL, or you could run it in the terminal, and you see the normal output in the terminal, but also in the UI, and you can still stop everything from the UI, and it will stop the command line. And the opposite would be also true. Um, but yeah, so the idea is that you can run many builds, and this is just a build that has many warnings. But with the UI, it's not just text scrolling by. You can display more information. You can um, long lines don't mess up the terminal output, and yeah, it's just more visually pleasing, I guess. And what I ultimately want for this, since this is just a browser, so I can do the same stuff here, and it updates everywhere. And what I ultimately want is, since this is just a browser, you can, or should be able to embed it easily into other editors or applications. So say you have Cursive. I can run WebView in this and have the UI here. And I can do the same stuff I did do in the browser on the standalone thing, and it's directly in Cursive. So if I make an error here, I could see the error right here. And unfortunately, the web view for Java kind of sucks. So it doesn't display correctly, and the REPL doesn't work at all. It just throws up, and there's no DevTools or anything. So the web view stuff may not be actually feasible, but the idea is still the same. So you get a nice front end or a nice UI instead of just looking at the terminal. Because if you run 3 different builds, the terminal is just too much. And other options like running tests could just be a link here, and then it displays your namespace, and you can select the namespace and click run tests, and then your tests run directly in the app itself. And yeah, the REPL it could just be a click away. So yeah, that's the idea behind it. And right now, this is just a preview. Basically, it's working, but it's a bit ugly. But yeah, I just wanted to show a little preview of where I'm going with this and why I think it's useful.